I'd be interested too on what sort of tools you use to actually facilitate remote work, because the tools that emerged in the last 5 to 10 years for, Zoom's a perfect indication. We're doing that right here, right now. Um, Collaboration tool. So, number one question is what are two or three big challenges you found with remote work in terms of culture, productivity, and then what are some of the tools you're using as a second question?
Yeah.
So I'll preface, this is one of my favorite topics. So
Okay.
I'll preface this with I don't want to say technology doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter. Like I think that's the problem we've seen across organizations, forget businesses, but what most organizations did that weren't ready, that were not already remote and had kind of figured some of this stuff out, they said, okay, well, we're just going to do exactly what we do in the office and we're going to do it remotely. And that doesn't work. We saw it fail in education. We saw it fail in the organizations kind of across the board. It just doesn't work. You can't do the same things, right? There's, and I think the in-office model, the hybrid model, and the remote model are all very viable models still today. They just have different pros and cons, and you have to lean into the positives of each rather than try to figure out how to take this thing from here and make it work over here. So like with remote, the value of remote is asynchronous communication. So you have to really lean into that and figure out how do you build your culture and your process and everything to really focus on asynchronous. And we have not figured all this out yet by any means, but we're definitely further ahead than the average company at this point. But I think that's probably the biggest thing. So it's how do you build, like I said, processes and culture that is able to work asynchronously. Doesn't mean we don't get out, we still have, we have our team meetings, we have meetings with clients, virtually, things like that. But it's figuring out how to, so as far as tools you asked, I mean, our tool stack is fairly straightforward. I mean, we have a project management tool. We use ClickUp. We have Slack for communication. Within Slack, we have an app that lets us do like asynchronous stand-up meetings. So rather than everybody getting on a call together every morning and saying, what's everybody working on? Everybody just submits their thing every day. And then at the end of the day, it's sort of an accountability. It's all about accountability. It's not like keeping track of people, but it's saying, okay, well, did you get done what you said you're going to get done? If not, why? And let's figure it out.
Yep.
So like those types of things. And then, for like, I guess that's it for as far as remote workforce. I mean, we use Gusto for, like payroll and things like that, but you can use that for office stuff.
We use Google for Business. So, our email is powered by Google and we use Google Docs.
Yes.
And Google Drive for sharing and storage and things. So that's kind of like our hub for storage of documents and agency repository. One other thing that I will add to Mike's feedback here is one of the biggest things that we undertook almost right away when we started Proofpoint was something called a culture book. And this is very different than a traditional employee handbook. The culture book is really a way for us to codify what it means to be working at Proofpoint, what it means to be a proof pointer. What are our cultures? What are our values? What do they mean? How do you implement them? How do you show your teammates your culture, or show through your actions how you're driving the culture forward. So that I think that's very eminently important. If you think about every culture, every society, from time immemorial, what have they done to keep their society moving forward, progressing? It's the codification of their cultures, the codification of their rules. The biggest example of this, of course, is Moses and the 10 Commandments. That's the biggest codification of culture and rules out there that exists. And so we, short of that, we have the Proofpoint Culture Book, and that is something that is a living, breathing document. It has gone through many iterations, even just in the past 4 years, we continuously update it and review it and study it and say, okay, is this really still valid? Is this value, does this pertain? We've learned a lot just in the past 4 years of growing the company, scaling, bringing on different clients, bringing on different employees, onboarding employees, offboarding employees. And so all of the things that we've learned and all the things that we want to espouse in our company and the things that we want our team to also absorb and follow goes in that book.